Well, folks, it has been one busy week in the world of sports. Today, we switch it up and start with baseball as Juan Soto finally picks his new team. And just like I told you, not the Boston Red Sox. But speaking of the Red Sox, they finally do something and they make a big trade yesterday to acquire their future ace. Plus, some other big name free agents have signed as well. Then it's on to former Patriots head coach and certain Hall of Fame head coach Bill Belichick, who agrees to become the new head coach at the University of North Carolina for 5 years. And then we'll go around the NFL. Thankfully, it's 1 week where I don't have to bemoan the New England Patriots as they were off in week 14, but we will take a look at 9 of the 13 games that were played in week 14. We'll also look ahead to a good slate of games in week 15. And finally, we ditch the tears and we talk about conference standings and the rapidly approaching playoff scenarios. Josh Morris is back on the show, and I'm definitely going to need the help today, folks. So I am glad that he is. It's an all new episode of the Toronto Dome, and it starts right now.
I know Tom. Oprah knows Tom.
We couldn't do diddly poo offensively.
Come after me!
Stedman knows Tom.
We couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball. We couldn't complete a pass. We sucked.
Oprah knows my wife.
I'm not a pessimist. I'm an optometrist.
We're all friends.
Because it's garbage. And the editor that let it come out is garbage. I'm a man. I'm 40.
So why not have a dinner?
53 seconds to go. Bergeron shuts.
But I gotta tell you, it's frustrating as hell to be a Red Sox fan right now. And this is going to continue until this ownership either changes its attitude or sells the team. Well, welcome to Toronto Dome. And I don't see either one of those things happening anytime soon. Well, folks, welcome back in. It has been a week, but it has been a crazy week in the world of sports here. It's an all-new Toronto Dome. Josh Morris is back on the show as he has been every single other week. So this is what, the 7th time you've been on the show now already. So I appreciate it as always, my friend. Thank you for joining me on this busy week in sports. Thank you, my friend.
Always a pleasure, my man.
All right. He sounds gassed. He looks a little gassed, folks, but we're going to try to get him through it. Josh, I'm going to start we're going to start baseball here because definitely some big stuff has gone down. Biggest one obviously being this was a few days ago now, but Juan Soto signs the biggest free agent contract in baseball history to the New York Mets. At the end of the day, he didn't care about team context, just cared about the bottom line. 15-year deal, which will take him through age 41. He does have an opt-out after his age 30 season, but 15 years and $765 million, over $750 million for one player. I understand that this is the way things are going, but what do you make of this deal for this 26-year-old outfielder, who I think is a genuine Hall of Fame talent, certainly. Long way to go, right? But at least from the batter's box, this is a slam dunk. But 15 years for any player in any sport, what do you think?
15 years is crazy, especially in baseball, man. Because like these guys, sign these giant contracts and then they don't play like the last 6-7 years of their deal. So to me, it's absurd. And I texted you like I wasn't upset that the Sox missed out on him at all. The guy
Agreed.
can't field. He's not a great fielder at all.
No.
So they're paying $700+ million for a bat. And
Right.
that bat is eventually going to decline. Like, it's just natural. You know what I mean?
They always do.
Especially with
Look at this.
today's generation of baseball. Like, these guys aren't about, like, pure hitting. They're about power numbers, launch angle, all the purist in me can't stand it, but it's like, that's what these guys do. Like, they want to hit 40, 50 home runs and hit 250. You know what I mean? And this kid, he hits. You know what I mean? He gets on base. But that's eventually going to decline. You know what I mean? So to pay that kind of money is just absurd to me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. By the way, there's the debut of Spook's butt on this is my cat Spook. He's been around for all the episodes, and today's the day, I guess, right, buddy? So yeah, he's a big fat guy. He's a good guy. kind of throwing me off a little bit here. But I'm not sure that the on-base skill does decline for Soto, just because he's a guy that walks so much. He walks more than any other major leaguer currently. I think the last 2 years he's been over 100, like anywhere from 120 to 130 walks over the last 2 seasons each. So, I mean, the career OBP is well over 400. So that's a plus. But to your point about the long contracts and everything, like Mike Trout, right? Trout's one. Pujols is one. Anthony Rendon, who's never given a crap since he got his contract out in Los Angeles. They seem to attract all the same guys late in their careers. But like Mike Trout's a guy that got like a 12-year deal, right? And he's probably still got 5 left on it. And he can't stay on the field. Like, he's still very talented. The bat speed and everything is still there. The glove's still there. He can still run when he's healthy. He just can't stay on the field anymore. His body's broken down on him. So that's your point about him being a hitter. Eventually, he probably ends up a DH. So it's $50-something million a year for a DH, right? And he can opt out after the age 30 season. I did mention that. I don't know how much the market's going to accelerate because he has just blown the market out of the water. Because unlike Shohei Ohtani's deal for $700 million last year with the Dodgers, Ohtani's deal has $680 million deferred, which is basically so the current ownership will never have to pay for it. That's not what Steve Cohen did with the Mets here. The Mets owner wanted Soto, and he gave him the bag. And I'm also with you on the fact that, yes, I definitely wanted him here, but once that number got into the 700s, it's like, okay, like enough's enough here. You don't need to do this because we know this ownership group pays one guy. The rest of the team, it's not going to matter. They wouldn't be competitive. It would turn into a Los Angeles Angels situation, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, man, what's going on with you? Can we get a coffee in you or something? Or are you just not into it this week? Like, what's going on?
I'm good. I'm taking it all in.
He's taking it all in. You look like you're gonna fall asleep, dude. That's what it is. Is he was lifting weights before he came on the show. He told me, he's like, I can't come on yet. I gotta pump some iron. So
I gotta get swole.
Yeah, he's getting swole, man. Yeah, I'm getting swole too, but it's right in here. They call me Santa Smooth on a different show, and
my uncle always used to say, "Why have a 6-pack when you can have the whole keg?"
Exactly. I mean, I'm almost at the point where I could drink a whole keg. So, holy mother. So yeah, a little bit of Soto. I'm not disappointed as it doesn't blow up the Red Sox structure in any way. I say good for the kid, right? And the one thing I will say is glad the Yankees didn't get him. I will say that. Keep him in the other league. I'm fine with that. So, because what's going to happen inevitably is the Mets are now going to have to shift to all of their younger players that they've been bringing up because they're not going to be able to pay anybody else. Like Pete Alonso, for example, free agent first baseman. He's been there his whole career. You think they're going to bring him back at another $200 million? Are they going to sink $1 billion into 2 players? I sort of doubt that. So
yeah, how much are they paying Lindor?
Exactly. Yeah, right. Lindor's contract is either 275 or 300 himself. So yeah, and he's still got time to go too. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, good segue though for New York. They made a great pickup this week.
Yeah, we're talking about I'm assuming you're talking about the Yankees and getting left-hander Max Fried, World Series champion with the Atlanta Braves a few years ago.
I would have loved the Sox to get him, but I mean the Sox did their own move, so
yeah, which we're about to get to that. Right, I'm with you on that. I really like Max Fried. I always have.
Oh yeah.
But when the Yankees went to 8 years, he's going to be 31. Like you go to 8 years, I mean, I know that lefties can get away with less velocity later in their careers. He'll probably hold up for the first 6 years of that deal. But I'm okay with them not giving him 8 years. And the Yankees handed free $218 million, which on AAV is actually not that bad for considering some of these contracts. Like I think Corbin Burns, because he's won a Cy Young. Corbin Burns, the free agent that was in Baltimore, the right-hander, another guy that everybody wants the Red Sox to go get.
Supposedly the Sox are interested, so
they're always interested, Josh. They're always interested. They always say, "Oh, we're in on this guy. We're in on this guy." No, we got outbid. That's the new theme this year. It's we're in on literally every big name free agent, but sorry, we finished third. So it's a joke. It's still a joke.
I mean, from a PR standpoint, though, right now, I don't think the fans are mad that they didn't get Soto. I mean, unless you just don't know anything about baseball and you're like, yeah, give him the guy 800
No.
million.
That's not what I'm not saying is pertaining to Soto specifically, but like this team badly needs. He's biting me. He's biting me. Get out of here. He bites. So he's been doing that his whole life. So nobody get mad at me for snapping because he bit my arm in the middle of when I was talking. Okay, PETA, don't want to hear it. So anyway. But I'm not mad at them about Soto. It's just, but even with this trade that they made yesterday, and I think it's a great move. But they needed more than one additional starting pitcher.
Absolutely.
So I think that Burns is probably going to command something in that 7-8 year range, probably more around 250. The Yankees, the Dodgers, what did the Dodgers pay Blake Snell annually? I don't even remember. That was a couple weeks. That was a week and a half ago or so.
Yeah, the rich get richer. It's crazy.
Yeah, they don't even need them, really. They really don't. They're gonna have like 8 or 9 guys for starting pitching.
I think it's one of those like almost like a Kershaw insurance policy.
Yeah, at this point, if I were them, I'd like Kershaw pitch in a swing role and just let him do what he wants to do because he's earned it and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
They're just loaded to the teeth. And, it's not just Ohtani's contract, but the Dodgers have in total, they have $1.06 billion in deferred money total on contracts for players. So wild stuff it's to the point where people are complaining enough about it and saying that something needs to change. And I don't want a salary cap in baseball, but, something against maybe
the way these contracts are structured and maybe a cap limit of the years. Like maybe we don't give 15-year contracts out. Because everything's guaranteed in the major leagues. It's guaranteed. So it's like this guy's got 15 years. He's guaranteed that money. Like like Rendon. Like LA can't get out of that contract because it's guaranteed. Like
I think he played all like 15 games last year too, Rendon, and he's on the record as saying it. He's like, I don't give a crap about baseball. I got my money. He's on the record.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's nuts. But let's just get into it now. Red Sox do make a big trade yesterday, which is they've done enough for me to don the jersey and the very, I think, very sporty 4th of July. Was it 4th of July or
yeah, it might be
or it was Memorial Day when they did these caps last year. It was Memorial Day, but either way, pretty cool. Enough for me to don it. The Red Sox trade for left-handed future, I think, is a budding ace, Garrett Crochet from the White Sox, similar to the Chris Sale deal a mere 8 years ago, right? Where was it 8? 6.
Was that long ago?
Did they get him in 16 and they didn't win till 18? Do I have that right? I think that's what happened.
It was either 16 or 17 because it was like a year. Was it the year before we won?
It was the year after they got Price. Price was admitting they screwed up with John Lester. And I think they traded for Sale the next year, and they gave up 4 prospects in that deal. At the time, they gave up the number 1 prospect in baseball, Yoan Moncada, who that
totally bit us in the butt. That bit us in the ass there.
Yeah, no, it really didn't, right? So sometimes when you have because he didn't end up being close to what he was supposed to be, Moncada. He never figured out too much of the swing and miss. Terrible defender. But they do give up 4 prospects. 2 of them are legit for this 25-year-old left-hander from the White Sox. And people might say, well, Scott, he's only pitched, he only hit 146 innings last year and he was hurt all this other time and blah, 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 blah. It's a high-end arm here. You got to take your chances, folks. Also, he's on my dynasty league.
I also think his agent and him, they must have had a conversation and said, we're not doing this. You're playing for literally the worst team in history. Like, what is the point of showing that you can pitch 200 innings, even if you could?
Yeah, I think there was a deal worked out, and I think the White Sox are happy to go along with it because once he hit like 90 innings or something like that, they only let him pitch 4 innings at a time after that.
Yeah.
Or less in some cases. I have him in Dynasty Fantasy Baseball, and I'm thrilled at this one, believe me. I am absolutely pumped for this. They did give up 2 legit prospects, though. Kyle Teal, who I like, a catching prospect, And also,
Buster Posey comps right there. I mean, that's high praise for just a prospect. So
yeah, I like the bat. He was supposed to be a good defender. Sometimes you got to do these things. I was hoping they'd get rid of Marcelo Mayer. I've kind of been calling for it for months.
I know you
That's
definitely have been advocating for his removal.
Yep, don't like him. Just don't. Something's not right with that kid. Something doesn't smell right. The other big one that they gave up was a switch hitting outfielder with a ton of power named Braden Montgomery. He was their first pick in the draft last year. Here comes the cat again. Yeah, why don't you just pop down, dude. You just whatever. I'm not stopping the show now. You're a good guy. You're a good guy. You just sometimes you bite a little bit. So whiskers, but yeah, whatever. No. Yeah, well, oh no, yeah, that's good. That's good. Make everybody think I have. He's gonna make everybody think I have fleas in the house. Yep, that's good.
No, he just wanted his close up. That's all.
He got his close up. He's the star of the show now. I mean, when he first got on the camera, his beehole was right in the camera, so that was great. Everybody's gonna love that. Now he's getting me out of focus. It's fine, really. It's fine. You just do what you're gonna do, okay? They gave up a couple of pitching prospects too. Wikelman Gonzalez and Chase Meadroth. I know that the sleeper community, dude, the sleeper community likes Meadroth a lot. The Red Sox podcast community, I should say. They like him a lot. And Wikelman, I guess, throws 100 miles an hour. But this is a move you have to make. Now, my question to you is, what is your confidence level? Let's say they're gonna what the Red Sox are probably known to do or be typical to do is they're gonna trade for the guy and then wait to see how he does before they decide if they're gonna sign him long term. If I were them, I would sign him right the F now. Do it right now. You're probably gonna save money on the deal, but they won't. No, you just gave up 4 prospects for him. Sign him to a long-term deal. What do you think what is your confidence level in them actually signing him to a long-term deal?
I mean, I guess it really depends on if we really think Breslow has any power. Because I think if that's the case, I think Breslow is trying to show that we're not doing things the way we've done them for the past 4 or 5 years. We're going to go after guys. We're going to get guys. So I'm hoping that's what it is, and I'm hoping they're going to sign him relatively quickly. I mean, maybe not right away. Maybe they do let him pitch a year and then come to him. But, like, if you do the arbitration BS and you're just going to piss guys off.
You're just going to lose them. Yeah. Breslow was a left-handed pitcher himself, so I don't know. Maybe he can recognize the talent here. Because as a result of him being on said dynasty team last year, and the fact that that's my favorite fantasy team across any fantasy sport or any league that I do, I had the MLB TV package last year. I watched most of his starts. And I'm going to tell you, from his 3rd start of the year until like his 12th start of the year, he was unhittable. This kid was unhittable. He throws easy 97, 98 gas. He's got a wipeout slider and a pretty good changeup. Sound familiar? Left-hander from the White Sox. So I'm excited about it, but yeah, you're probably right. Going to have to pitch a year, and then we'll see what they decide to do after that. They probably want to prove that he can get through a season or something. So
exactly,
we shall see. Folks, we're going to move on from the baseball discussion now. We're going to get into football. We're not going to get to the NFL quite yet because we have to talk about the greatest. Some people will argue, of course, but basically one of the all-time great head coaches in pro football of all time. Bill Belichick is 72 years old. The ending here in New England was ugly, to put it mildly. But he takes a job in college football where he's never coached, at least not at the head coaching level, and who knows how long or whatever. But as far as I know, he hasn't. Takes a 5-year deal and not even at a great school.
No, he skipped the college ranks because of his father. So he was able to get right onto his staff because of his dad's connection. So he's never been in the college level.
Was he a special teams coach in Detroit or something like that when his dad was a coach there? I feel like it was something like that.
It was something like that where he got right in. He skipped the college ranks completely, and he went right to the NFL. And from there, it was Parcells. And then, as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah. So for some reason, it's weird to say the least. I mean, I got one theory, and that it's everybody else's theory on why he is taking a college job for 5 years at 72 years old. To me, I think it's kind of sad, really. And at the same time, I don't know what's in it for him. He does have a 24-year-old girlfriend, though. And,
keeping him young. He could
keeping him
coach for
young.
another 10
Maybe
years.
now he's gotten addicted to the co-ed life and he wants to hang out with the college hotties there. But at 72, to say the least, it's a little creepy.
He'll be able to make plenty of friends.
Oh, he's gonna make so many friends. And can you?
No, not him, her.
Oh yeah, because of him and her, she gets to go be. Yeah, she.
They're all going to be her age.
Well, yeah, she's gonna do she's gonna do grad. Maybe she wants to do grad school there or something. Holy crap.
Imagine if she ends up going to school there. Oh my word.
Yeah, well then maybe there was something to it like Bill. Jeez, man, she's really gonna clean you out in a few years. But I don't really get it. Other than that, it's weird that he wouldn't even try to hang around to see if there would be a coaching, an NFL coaching vacancy that would open up.
I think that's the strangest thing is that I think we're in for a big coaching carousel this year.
We are.
So it's like he didn't even wait. He didn't even because I guarantee if he had gone to UNC and said, "Hey, I just want to see what happens in the NFL," they wouldn't have told him no. They would have been like, "Hey, yeah, do your thing."
Of course not. They would have held out until the last minute if they could. Because holy crap, you're Bill Belichick. And then I guess there were reports coming out this week that he had a 400-page binder of how he would fix any potential organization or whatever that he was going to go to. And maybe that scared teams off. But what I really think it is it's Robert Kraft being an a-hole, because that's what Kraft is, and bagging Belichick to his owner buddies in the league, telling everybody not to hire him. Kind of think that's what it is. I still think Bill's got 2 or 3 years of good coaching in him, but put him in the right situation, give him a quarterback, give him a good team, kind of like Brady at the end. But
yeah, it's funny you say that too, because in the bread aisles when I'm doing my job, there are a lot of vendors there, a lot of guys that I talk to every day, and we were saying Cincinnati would have been a great job for him.
There's going to be a few. Yeah, there's going to be a few.
That defense, that offense is set.
You just fix the defense. He's still good at that. He was
right?
Even when they were bad here for the last few years, the defenses were still good. That's a good point. Yeah, it's weird. It's really strange. So I think there will be people on talking head shows up here in this market that'll say that, well, he just never had another job offer. I don't really buy that. I think this is that Bill made a conscious decision here. I just would like to know why.
Yeah, I think nepotism might be involved as well. Because the rumor is that Steve Belichick is coming over. So
I heard it's something as far. I'm sorry to cut you off. I heard something as to go as far as that they're supposed to guarantee that Steve Belichick is the next head coach there. I've heard that too. I've also heard a condition that they're supposed to hire Matt Patricia as part of Bill's staff. What does Matt Patricia have on Bill Belichick? What is
Malcolm Butler? Malcolm Butler. He's got Malcolm Butler.
You're right. You're exactly right. Matt Patricia is the only other person who knows besides Bill and Malcolm Butler why
He's got
Butler
the Malcolm Butler situation.
It has to be. What else could it be? Either that or it's naked booby pictures of Bill on Nantucket or something like that,
But we already got that.
The ring camera kind of ruined that one for everybody, though. But good. I get, I'm sure it's a lucrative deal for Bill. If there's a family hookup in there, I guess I get it. I just don't see how it's going to work. It's going to coexist for him with this NIL crap, where you can have an 18-year-old kid just tell you, screw you, Bill. I don't want to hear it. I'm going to go play for Utah. You know what I mean? I'm going to go play for Iowa. Whatever it is. You know what I mean? So
the only thing I think he brings is obviously his reputation. And you said that so he made a comment, I don't know how long ago it was, about if he was going to go to college, how he would set it up so it's a pipeline for players to get into the NFL.
Yeah,
so
preparing them for adult and pro life, and yeah.
If you're a college parent or a player, you're thinking to yourself, who better to get me to the NFL than a guy that was there and knows everybody? You know what I mean? And I guarantee Belichick still has pull. He still talks to those coaches. He still knows people, GMs, all of it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. That's a very good point, sir. So that'll be interesting. I don't know if Bill has is enough of a D bag to pull a Bobby Petrino and leave in the middle of a season and go to another team or whatever, go back to the NFL or something like that. I guess you never know though. He burned the bridge with the Jets, so I guess you never know. Yeah, right. Napkin, right? I resign as the HC of the NYJ. It's one of the best things I've ever seen, unless you're a Jets fan. By the way,
Which damned the Jets for the next 22 years, 23 years now.
right. I was just going to say, by the way, did you know the Jets are the only professional sports franchise of the four majors that has not made the playoffs in the last 14 seasons? They're the only one in all four of the majors.
That's impressive.
It really is. It's
So Rex Ryan AFC Championship game. That was the last time.
that was the last time. Yep. They lost
could have won that game.
They lost to Pittsburgh, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe did they lose to Pittsburgh? No, because they were in two in a row, right?
Was it two in a row, or was it two and then the divisional game that they lost? I can't remember, but they lost that. They lost that year. They beat Arizona, right? Pittsburgh beat Arizona on that Santonio Holmes.
That was
2010. Oh no, 2010 was Packers.
Packers, yeah. Packers beat the Steelers, right? So the Steelers beat the Jets in that AFC Championship game. Yeah, our memories are still pretty good considering, only one of us drinks and stuff though. So that's yeah. See now my brain's getting disconnected. So enough Belichick, enough revisionist history and all that. Let's go to the Week 14 rundown real quick, shall we? It's been a few days now, so we'll try to blow through it pretty quick here. We are going to ignore 4 games, folks. In my eyes, it's really 3 of them have no playoff implications whatsoever in my eyes. One of them does have a first-place team in it, but it was a blowout, not interesting game.
One does have an OnlyFans model in it.
Excuse me?
Have you heard about the OnlyFans model?
This better be good.
At the New York Giants and Saints game, have you heard about that?
Go ahead.
I supposedly, who knows if it's true, she got tickets from a Giants player to flash the Saints during the game.
Oh, I did hear about that. Yeah. Hey, well, listen, that's desperate times for the Giants, right? Like, that's how bad you want to win. That's how bad you suck. That's a nice story, but not enough for me to get me to talk about that trash ass game.
Hey, that trash ass game won you some money.
Well, yeah, thankfully the one touchdown the Giants got. I wasn't even going to talk about that, Josh. And we don't have to brag on the show. But that I had a 5-leg parlay hit, guys. Woo, yeah, woo. Yeah, for a decent amount of money. And the last leg that I needed to hit, the Giants were down 14-3 in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter in that game. And Tyrone Tracy, Giants running back, punched it in from 1 yard out.
Quick review.
Yeah. So cool beans. Now I've spent way too much time on this game already, but 14-11 final score. Saints go to 5-8. Technically not eliminated, but really, I think at this point, if you're less than 6-7, I think you're out.
They're winning this week.
Sorry?
They're winning this week.
Do you want to bet? We'll do a side bet on that then, because I don't agree with you at all. They are on the road in Washington?
Take committed. I'm take committed.
Oh, that's at least you do commit to your takes. I'll give you that. I'm just looking around because I heard that the big one hiss. So, all right, the other one, Jacksonville at Tennessee. There's no reason to talk about this game. 2 teams, 3-10. Mac Jones, despite his best efforts, actually won a game. Jacksonville went to 10-6. The other one, Tampa Bay actually took first place in the NFC South in this one. We will talk about how bad Atlanta is in a little bit. They beat the Raiders at home 28-13. They improved to 7-6. Las Vegas drops to 2-11. In the race for the bottom, it's the Giants and the Raiders by themselves now. And then Monday Night Football, decent game, but ultimately two teams that aren't going to make the playoffs. Cincinnati walked it off 27-20, and Jamar Chase touchdown with a minute left to go in that game to win it. 5-8 and 5-8, those two teams. Bengals are 0-7 against 500 teams. So let's talk about football that actually mattered. And some of these games were still crap fests, and we won't spend a lot of time on them, like Cleveland-Pittsburgh was never competitive, and there was at least one more that was like that too. But we go back. I'm sure you'll have an opinion on this. We've got a Thursday night game coming up tonight in just a few hours. Last Thursday night, it was the Green Bay Packers 31 at the Detroit Lions 34. Lions, despite Dan Campbell's best efforts, they escape with a win. They go to 12-1. Packers drop to 9-4. Quickly, if I may, Dan Campbell taking stupid, unnecessary risks, and I love Dan Campbell. Almost everybody loves Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell's a wonderful guy, incredible guy, let me tell you. But he almost cost them this game, okay? First time, it was with 1:31 left in the third quarter on 4th-1 from their own 31-yard line. You're winning the game. It was like Belichick calling 4th-2 against Peyton Manning. Tell me I'm wrong. You can't. They're up 24-21, right? Jahmyr Gibbs gets stuffed at the line. The Lions turn it over on downs. The Packers only need 4 plays to turn it into 7 points. Nice job, Danny Boy. They take the lead 28-24 with 14:20 to play. Next drive, Lions go 70 yards and 10 plays. Tim Patrick touchdown catch from 1 yard out. 31-28 Lions, 8:39 to play. Packers get it back, drive at 56 yards and 11 plays. Come on! 32-yard field goal, good. Sorry. I prefer when they just lay on the couch and don't do this crap. It's really throwing me off in this show. Packers get it back, 56-yard drive and 11 plays. 32-yard field goals, good. 31-31. We're down to 3:42 to go. Here we go again with Dan Campbell. Lions drive down the field to the Green Bay 21. Josh, this is now a 39.
This one was mind-boggling. This
makes absolutely. I've never chewing up my PlayStation cord. Come on, man. All right,
it's like
there we go.
It's not. This isn't like a win-lose. You know what I mean? This is. You can lose.
Yeah. Sorry.
Like it's not like we get the first down, we get to run out the clock, and that was a big win. No, take the lead, and it's the Packers. Like if you trust your defense that much, like just give the ball back, and you're going to stop them.
Well, that's effectively what that's effectively what they were gonna do in a tie game here, because they had a 39-yard field goal at this point. It's not like this is like a 57-yard kick.
No,
this is the kicker that they got from the UFL or whatever, the USFL, Jake Bates. He's been really good for them. He's only missed one field goal. He's only missed one field goal all year. It was on Thanksgiving. I was watching it. I remember, but it's a 39-yard field goal. He's gonna make that kick, right? Dan Campbell says, F that, I'm going for it again on 4th-1. He gets lucky this time. David Montgomery busts through the line off right tackle, 7 yards.
Jared Goff stumbles.
Was that was the same play where Jared Goff actually fell to the ground
as he stumbled to the ground? Like it could have been disastrous.
Right, because they easily could have called him down. Because they could have said that he took a knee, right? Technically, because his knee hit the ground. I know that there was some debate. I know Packers fans were effing pissed on Twitter after that game. That's all I remember seeing late that night. But they get away with it. Somehow they get lucky. Kansas City-esque maybe, but Goff takes the knee on the next play after they get the first down. Detroit timeout, a net gain of 4 yards because the knee cost them 3. So now it's a 35-yard field goal. Of course, Jake Bates makes it. Lions win 34-31. They get away with it on Thursday Night Football. Jared Goff, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. David Montgomery, 51 yards and a score. Gibbs, 43 yards on the ground, 30 through the air and a receiving touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 5 for 43. Jameson Williams, 5 for 80. Tim Patrick, former Denver Bronco who blew out his ACL, has come back and having a nice little bounce back, at least in this game. 6 for 43, 2 touchdowns for him. On the flip side for the Packers, Jordan Love, just 206 yards and a touchdown for him. I would have hit another parlay if it wasn't for Jordan Love actually not throwing an interception. I was really big at him throwing another one, but he didn't. And Josh Jacobs, only 66 yards, but he did punch it in 3 times on the ground, so good for his fantasy. player owners, whatever you want to call them. You got to say fantasy managers now because owner is derogatory. You can't gotta say that now. Josh, my question to you is, will these types of tactics, and you're someone who's familiar with these types of tactics from Dan Campbell in the playoffs, will this
helped us win the NFC Championship game?
Yeah, it certainly did. They blew a big lead in that NFC Championship game, and trust me, buddy, I was rooting. No offense, I was rooting for Detroit in that game, and I had money on Detroit in that game. Detroit in the playoffs, is it gonna cost them, or is Dan Campbell capable of reeling this in? Can he rein himself in? What do you think?
I was gonna say, let me ask you a question in this answer. You're a Lions advocate. Obviously, I'm not rooting for the Lions. Do you think, as a Lions advocate, this is what you want to see in the playoffs?
Probably not.
No, right? Teddy Bruschi said it the best on ESPN. He said, give me Dan Campbell, the player, keep him off the sidelines, because you're too emotional while you're coaching. Like, does he not have anybody that like runs up to him like, Coach, no, don't do that?
Doesn't look like it, does it? It doesn't look like it.
Teddy Bruschi said it best. He said, there's no more kneecaps to bite. There are no more ankles to bite. You're at the top. You need to start coaching like it.
Yeah, exactly. Like this isn't the team you took over in 2021. You have established yourself as a premier team in this league. Many people think the best team in the league this year. I happen to be one of them, and they got everything they need. But two boneheaded calls like that in the NFC Championship game, that will cost you the game.
Absolutely. And it only takes one, right? It only takes one.
Really?
That goes the opposite way, and you're now the GOAT. You know what I mean? Like, so if I was a Lions fan, I'd be like, all right, please, someone tell Dan Campbell, like, yes, I know that's the way you say you coach, but it's time to have just the slightest shift.
Jason Tatum, me already.
I couldn't agree more. And it will probably not be the last time that we talk about something like this, because Detroit's remaining schedule is pretty tough. So I'm sure there's going to be big moments for them in these last 4 weeks here. Next up for both teams, Green Bay is at Seattle on Sunday Night Football, and Detroit hosts the Buffalo Bills at 4:25 on Sunday. Both of those games will be discussed later on in our What to Watch for Week 15 segment.
Yeah.
Folks,
those should be great games.
Absolutely. I actually have some weeks it's hard for me to come up with 4. I've got 6 this week that I think are going to be pretty good. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. Unfortunately, we have to do some business. We have to talk about we talked about the Jets a little while ago. Well, the Jets stay Jetson, folks. When they went down to Miami, and they should have won this game last Sunday in Miami. They were ahead 23-15 headed into the fourth quarter. Miami starts at their own 40 with 13:23 to play in regulation. They go 60 yards in 10 plays, aided by a defensive pass interference call, Jets, and get a 4-yard touchdown catch by Tyreek Hill. Two-point conversion to Jalen Waddle is good. Tie game, 23-23, 9:04 to go. Jets go 3 and out, of course. Miami gets it back and punts 3 minutes later. Jets get it back with 4:25 to go at their own 13. No chance they're going to drive down the field. Aaron Rodgers goes 6 for 7 for 72 yards on the drive. They do lose 11 between a sack and a stuffed run. 42-yard field goal by Anders Carlson. That field goal is not gold, but it's good. Miami burns their timeouts, and now they trail 26-23 with 56 seconds left to go. The Jets are surely going to pull the road upset. 56 seconds to go. They have no timeouts. They're going to pull it off, right? Jets. They're the Jets. They're the Jets. They allow a 45-yard kickoff return by Malik Washington. The Dolphins now only need 18 to 20 yards to get into field goal range. They get those 20 yards through the air with Tua going 2 of 5 on the drive. Jason Sanders' field goal is good. 12 seconds to go. The Dolphins actually had time to spare. Jets stay Jetson, folks. We go to overtime. Miami wins the toss. Tua misses his first pass to overtime, but he completes the next 6. 3 of them go to Jonnu Smith, including the game-winning 10-yard touchdown. The Jets choke. Miami snatches one away from them. They win it 32-26 in overtime. Dolphins go to 6 and 7. Jets drop to 3 and 10. I think that this might have been Rodgers' best game as a Jet, or at least one of them. 27 out of 39 for 339 and a touchdown. 83 yards on the ground from the 2 running backs replacing Breece Hall. Garrett Wilson, 7 for 114. Devontae Adams, 9 for 109 and a touchdown through the air for him. Tua, 331 yards through the air, 33 out of 47. I'm going to get to Tua's stats in a second after we do a little back and forth here. Devin Achane, 24 yards on the ground and a touchdown, 6 catches for 45. Tyreek Hill comes back to life in this one, 10 for 115 and a touchdown. Jalen Waddle, 9 for 99. And Jonnu Smith, remember how I said he had 3 catches in overtime? Those are his only 3 catches of the day. 3 catches for 44 yards and the touchdown for him. Josh, there were 18 penalties in this game, 0 turnovers. Miami went 1 of 9 on third downs, and they still won. Miami is still alive in the AFC.
Now, if they had lost, they would have been out, right?
They would have been pretty much done. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, for all intents and purposes, yeah. Because like I said, I think once you get down to 5-8 with 4 weeks left to go, even if you get to 9-8, pretty good shot you're not getting in. At least not in the AFC, where right now every single playoff team has 8 wins already.
5, yeah.
Right. So, but just wanted to let people know that I guess Tua made the right decision not to retire this time, because since he's come back, Miami's only 4-3. But Tua has completed 76% of his passes. He's thrown 15 touchdowns and only 1 interception in 7 games. He is averaging 281.8 pass yards per game. So here's the thing about Miami. I always think they're better than they are because Tua continues to get better. The problem is, if you make the playoffs, you are going on the road and you're going somewhere cold. And we saw it on Thanksgiving night against Green Bay. Miami's got no shot in a cold weather game. They just don't.
Yeah, and last year at Arrowhead.
Oh yeah, no, there wasn't even a contest. You look at Mike McDaniel shaking in his boots on the sideline. You can actually see it. Yeah, I know, former 49ers assistant Mike McDaniel. I know. But like when he's got snot shivering, like or coming off, and they're freezing off of his nose, and then he's like doing this with you can see him holding the play sheet. It's like this. Not going to happen. Your team sees that. They echo that. That's why the defense lets up 32 points a game in cold weather games into his career. So, anything you want to add on this one? You just want to go? You want to blow past it? What do you want?
Yeah, I would say the only thing is I'm almost positive. Don't quote me on it, but almost positive this is the first time Rodgers has thrown for over 300 yards in like 3 years.
You're right about that. You're right. I believe 2021 was the last time he had a 300-yard game.
So that's crazy.
It is for a guy like him, and they lost. Yeah, well, it's the Jets. So,
and I just remember seeing him on that final drive, and he was just like almost like he knew, like, we're the Jets.
He's got to get. I think for him, I wonder if he ends up in Minnesota next year and does a full Favre. And they let him come in, and they made JJ McCarthy sit for another year, right? Because they're not paying Sam Darnold. I love Sam Darnold. We're going to get into that very shortly, but they're not paying. They drafted JJ McCarthy 6th overall. They're not going to pay him. Anyway, for the Jets, they go to Jacksonville next, so that's one that I will be skipping over next week on the show. And Miami will go to Houston, and one of the ones that I think is worth watching next week. That one is a 1:00 game in H-Town. We are going to go to Browns and Steelers, and we are not going to spend very much time on this at all because it was a slop fest from the get-go in this one.
Let Russ cook.
Hey, listen, man, let Russ cook. Listen, the danger witch, and, you feeling a little dangerous, and, let's ride, or the kitchen's on fire behind him. Great stuff. Career resurgence for Russell Wilson, and it sounds like Pittsburgh's going to sign him. So
I was going to say, that's the next question. Does he stay in Pittsburgh?
I think so.
Tomlin makes it seem like they want to keep him.
Yeah. Listen, I say good for him because he can still play. I think this one was more of they didn't really have a number 1 receiver in this game because Pickens was out, and they had just played Cleveland 2 weeks before. So you have that familiarity thing. Like Jameis Winston was god-awful in this game. And that's really the Jameis Winston experience, right? He's either going to throw for almost 500, but he's still going to throw 2 pick sixes, and then the next week he's going to suck. But that's Jameis Winston. You love him, or you realize that his whole act and this whole thing that he's doing now, the goofball thing, is completely phony, and you realize he's just a jackass. But hey, Cleveland, have fun with your 3-10. Oh wait, Pats are 3-10 too. Steelers win 27-14. They improved to 10-3. Like I said, Cleveland drops to 3-10. Browns actually led this one 7-3 until 11 minutes left in the first half. Then Pittsburgh scores 24 unanswered. They led 27-7 until 7:19 left in the fourth. When Jameis Winston hit David Njoku for a garbage 15-yard garbage time touchdown. The Steelers won by that score, 27-14. As I said, no George Pickens for the Steelers, and this one almost screwed me in fantasy, but I was able to muster a win anyway. That's how good we are. Yeah. I actually started his replacement, Calvin Austin. That was a disaster. So that's never going to happen again. I left Darnell Mooney on the bench, if anyone's wondering. He had his best game of the season, second best game of the season. Anyway, nobody cares except me. Pickens is likely to miss their Week 15 game in Philadelphia as well. That gives the Eagles a big advantage. Like I said, Winston, 2 more interceptions for him, 2 touchdowns, 212 yards passing. Jerry Jeudy, career resurgence, 5 for 64 and a score for him. Russell Wilson falling way back in the draft, 15 out of 26, 158, 2 touchdowns for him, 53 and a score on the ground for Najee Harris. Pat Freiermuth, 3 for 48 and a score for Pittsburgh. Probably could have ignored this one too, but Pittsburgh's a first place team. Anything you want to add here? What do you think of the Steelers?
I think they win that division.
Okay. Well, you're really going out on a limb there.
I mean, I think that's all there is to say. They're going to win the division and go from there, I guess.
Can they really do anything in the playoffs?
That's the question. I don't know if I'm really sold on it just yet.
Yeah. Well, nobody expected them to be 10-3. That's for sure.
No,
nobody.
I had them under 500, so
I think I had them like either 8-9 or 9-8. So yeah,
you had 9-8.
Yeah,
you had 9-8.
See, we're gonna go back to that. By the way, we get to the end of the regular season. You know, when we do the playoff preview, first whatever wild card weekend or whatever, we're gonna dust off the old that one was real ugly on my end over here, right? I didn't have the background set up at all. It just looked like a complete mess. It looked like I was like doing daddy daycare over here or something, like the way it looked. But anyway, we'll dust it off and I'll chop it up and then we'll go over it. So that'll be interesting because a lot of stuff we've been right about. And somebody said the Jets were going to win the AFC East. So and it wasn't me. So
that's a low blow.
Yeah. Well, listen, you took a shot, right? You took a shot. So they were supposed to be better than this. They were supposed to be so much better.
Just a little better. Just a little better.
Yeah, pathetic, man. 3-10. Oh, wait.
Again, I saw a stat. Zach Wilson has more wins as the New York Jets starter than Aaron Rodgers.
He does. They went 5-12 last year.
That's crazy.
It's awesome. It's great. If anything else, it's telling Rodgers he should just quit. But anyway. So Steelers will travel to Philadelphia, and another one that we're gonna have to watch on 4/25. Like I said, there's like 6 good games next week for sure, at least. Cleveland will host Kansas City, so they will drop to 3-11 in all likelihood. That's a 1 p.m. game.
Upset alert.
I'm sorry.
Upset alert.
Hey, maybe Jameis throws for 400 again. I don't
trap
know.
Game. Definitely a trap game.
I mean, does Kansas City do trap games though?
Yeah, they play right into it and then somehow win.
Right, exactly. So we'll get into them in a bit here. They're a little bit further down the sheet because they were on Sunday Night Football. We are going to talk about those Eagles who squeak by the Carolina Panthers. They improved to 11-2. They win this one 22-16. Carolina drops to 3-10. It looked like Carolina was going to win this one for a while. I'll be honest with you. We had it on at my buddy's house.
Leggett just decided to drop the game-winning touchdown.
He had it in his hands and couldn't hold on to it, and
that was a pretty good throw from Bryce Young.
Good throw by Bryce Young. Really thought that actually sitting there at the time didn't even realize he dropped it. That's how close it was, but pretty obvious on replay. So yeah, that's a tough one. Panthers turned it on. Also, Panthers did turn it over on downs twice in the fourth quarter, trying to come back here. Both times they were in Philadelphia territory. Bryce Young only goes for 191. If Leggett had caught that ball, it would have been 2 touchdowns, but it's only 1. He threw a pick. Chuba Stank Hubbard, 26 carries for 92 and a score. 4 catches for 15 yards. Adam Thielen did have 9 catches for 102. Man, he can still run routes and he can still catch a damn ball. Man, he's good. On the other side, Jalen Hurts only 108 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. 59 rushing yards and added another touchdown on the ground, of course. Screwed Saquon Barkley out of another score. Saquon's probably been screwed out of a half a dozen touchdowns this year. 20 for 120.
Do you know Jalen Hurts is only behind one runner in the NFL for touchdowns?
I thought he was leading the league.
No, Henry.
Really?
That's what they said on the broadcast. The only one with more is Derrick Henry.
Was that before or after he scored?
He's got 13.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That's unreal.
I don't know if it's sustainable, but hey, the old brotherly shove, I guess. Supposedly Hurts is beefing with AJ Brown, by the way. I heard that one. I heard that same
they
thing
cleared
last
it
year.
up. They cleared it up.
What is that? Was that today? Because I thought I heard about it yesterday that they were beefing.
Yeah, I got an update on ESPN that they had a conversation and cleared the air.
Well, it seems like AJ Brown tends to piss and moan every year, and I'm not a big Jalen Hurts fan at all. But
Yeah,
AJ
Brown's a diva. He's a diva.
He's one of those receivers, man. Great receiver, but only got the ball thrown to him 4 times. Is probably why he was pissing and moaning.
But you won the game. Like, you're there to win.
Won the game. Won the game.
10 catches every game.
But Devontae Smith caught the touchdown, and they were both open on the play. So
AJ Brown was wide open.
Yeah, he was, and it was the easier throw.
Easier to throw for sure.
Yeah, it was. But anyway, Philly does take this one 22-16. Like I said, they go to 11-2. Panthers have lost the last 3 games they've played to current playoff teams: Kansas City, Tampa, and Philadelphia, by a combined 12 points. So
all one score, and one went to OT.
Yeah, that's correct. That was the Kansas City game went to OT.
Yeah, I mean Bryce Young definitely, and
He's
I think
improving.
having Dillon healthy, Leggett, I think he's growing with those guys. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what Dillon's contract looks like. They might bring him back just to help with the growth of
They should.
Young.
Yeah, they should. He's definitely, ever since the benching and he got back in there, to me, from what I've seen with Bryce Young, is he definitely looks much more decisive. I'll say that. And certainly more confident. It hasn't really turned into success necessarily. They're still not a good team. So, but better days, I think, are ahead for Kakalaki and their fans. So, we shall see. Next up, we got Kirk Cousins' revenge game.
Oh, more
Nope.
like Kirk Cousins showing who he is game.
Yeah, no, but I really think that we're getting close to the end of the ride for Kirk Cousins here, to be honest with you folks. This was not the Kirk Cousins revenge game. Instead, it was another performance. Say it loud with me, folks, from Big D, Sam Darnold, baby. Again, I've been telling you since week 3. He is the man. Josh, do you think he gets a single MVP vote? I think he just might.
You could definitely make an argument for sure.
Just one vote. I'm looking for his one vote, okay?
I mean, 5 tutties, right? You had 5?
Got 28 on the season.
I mean, pretty damn good.
Hey, that's my guy. Anyway, this game was tied 21-21 going into the 4th quarter, and the Vikings took over because, well, it's Kirk Cousins after all. Minnesota scored 2 minutes into the 4th. Ray McLeod would fumble the ensuing kickoff after he returned it 31 yards. The Vikings recover at Atlanta's 32-yard line, and 8 plays later, it's Darnold with his 5th and final touchdown pass of the day, 35-21. And the next drive, Kirk Cousins throws his 2nd interception of the day. He knows when to throw them at the worst possible times. He did it the week before against the Chargers as well. 4th quarter dagger for Atlanta. Minnesota 10-play drive for 98 yards. It was capped by an Aaron Jones 15-yard rushing touchdown. 42-21 the final. Vikings 11-2. Sammy D 22 out of 28 for 347. 5 touchdowns. 5-time WCW champion. Guy is awesome. Aaron Jones 73 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Jordan Addison 8 catches for 133 and 3 touchdowns. And Justin Jefferson, who hadn't caught a touchdown in 7 games, 7 catches for 132 yards and 2 scores for him. On the flip side, Josh, Kirk Cousins does throw for 344. He does not throw a passing touchdown. He throws 2 more interceptions. I bet you already knew this, but some people may not. Kirk Cousins, a guy that signed a big contract, at least money-wise, in Atlanta for 4 years in the offseason. He has no touchdown passes in his last 4 games, and he's thrown 8 interceptions in that same span. So
And they're 0-4.
And they're 0-4 because you can't win when your quarterback isn't producing and instead he's giving it to the other team. That's how it works.
4 weeks ago, they had a stranglehold on that NFC South. Stranglehold. Because they had 2 games up on Tampa Bay.
They were 6-3 and they had beaten Tampa twice already. Well, 4 weeks later, you've lost 4 in a row and Tampa's got the lead despite that because they're 7-6. They've won 4 in a row. So maybe it's 3 in a row, whatever. I think it's 4 in a row. Bijan Frise, 92 yards on the ground for a touchdown. Tyler Algier poaching another touchdown for my guy Bijan, 63 yards on 9 carries for him. Darnell Mooney, 6 catches for 142 yards on my bench. Ray McLeod, 8 catches for 98. And Drake London Bridge is not falling down, but it's not his fault. 5 catches for 70. Josh, did you know that Darnell Mooney has more receiving yards than Drake London does this year?
I would not have known that.
You would not have known that, right? But hey, Bears let him go. They said, we don't need you. Anyway, so there are 2. Did you know there's 2 Monday Night Football games here in Week 15? For some reason, we're doing this again. So next up for Atlanta, they are at Vegas in a game that I don't think is going to be very highly rated. That is the second game of the Monday night slate.
That's a must win, though. That's a must.
No, it absolutely is. Still, though, on the road, never know.
You can't lose to Las Vegas. You can't.
No, you can't. That's at 8:30 on Monday. Minnesota will host Chicago in game 1 of the Monday Night Football slate. That's at 8 o'clock. I didn't really give you a chance to talk about this one. What do you want? You got anything to say about the Vikings, or you just more focused on the Falcons here?
No, I think we mentioned it last week, or like I said, like the most quiet 10-win team like ever.
11?
They're like the most quiet. Like no one's talking about
11.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like no one's talking about them. Well, I said last week 10-win. I'm saying like
you were on the show last week. You can call me a dick if you want. I deserve it.
No, they had a bye, didn't they? Are they coming off a bye?
No, their bye was early, I thought.
So maybe I said quiet 9-win team. But like again, no one's talking about these guys. No one. Because they play in the same division with Minnesota, with Detroit.
Yeah.
Now, do they play week 18?
Why wouldn't they?
I'm saying, is that their final game? Are they playing each other? No, I'm saying that could be for the division.
That is, yeah. No, I was going to bring that up later on. It's at Detroit, but yes, yeah. No, like bye week was in week 6.
So yeah, 2 weeks ago I must have said most quiet 9-win team because again, no one's talking about these guys. They are a very well built team. They are, and I could see Detroit losing this week to Buffalo.
I actually have them losing to Buffalo myself.
So, I mean, you could definitely see that Week 18 matchup being for possibly the 1 seed.
Could be. It could be. So Minnesota, since I've got it pulled up here, Minnesota started the season by winning 5 in a row. They came out of the bye and lost 2 in a row to the Lions and the Rams, and they've won 6 in a row since then. That is a good team, folks, and one that is definitely being slept on. As my boy just said over there, they shouldn't be slept on because they have all the pieces. And Darnold's playing really well, and they can take deep shots down the field. Not a lot of quarterbacks throw the ball down the field.
Oh yeah, he's got a cannon. He's got a
big
gun.
Arm. Yeah, he's got a big arm. So, a little opportunity for you, my friend, here, if you'd like. This is another one that I don't think we're going to spend a ton of time on because the 49ers cruised. I mean, they beat the bag out of Chicago in this game. But I want to know how you feel about it. 49ers were up 24-0 at the half. I saw a graphic.
310-2. 310-2.
I thought that's what I saw because that's what I put in my notes. 310 total yards to Chicago's 2 in the first half in this game. Kind of tells you all you really need to know. 38-13, the final. 49ers get to 6-7. Bears look like they've quit to me. 4-9 is where they're at now. Purdy boy, 20-25 for 325 and 2 scores for him. I guess the shoulder's okay. Isaac Guerrero, someone I've only been talking about since week 1 when Christian McCaffrey got hurt. He gets his chance, and then he gets hurt. But before that, He did have 128 total yards on 17 touches with 2 touchdowns of his own, so he showed his ability. George Kittle, another big game, 6 catches for 151. Juwan Jennings looks like a number 1 wide receiver to me. 7 catches for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns for him. We can skip the Bears end of this if you want. Rome Odunze had 2 receiving touchdowns, and Caleb Williams had 134 yards through the air. Josh, were your 49ers back to top form in this one, or have the Bears simply just packed it in, or is it a mix of both? Are you willing to give your team credit? Let's hear it.
I think it's a mix of both. I think Shanahan called a great game, called a lot more screens. I feel like almost having McCaffrey out forced him to actually be a play caller again. Like, it's not just, okay, we're just going to lean on Christian McCaffrey. We're just going to do the stuff we did last year. No, he had to actually... I've been calling it for forever. Run some screens, get some blockers out. The yak isn't there this year. Well, probably because your play designs stink. Like, and you only have one receiver that can get separation, and it's Juwan Jennings. Other than that, you can't. So they get Kittle out in space. They get Juwan, who's big and physical. He runs those, intermediate routes, deep digs. He gets open. It just looked like a really well-called game. Guerendo, they trust him out of the backfield, where Mason, they weren't using him like that. So I think that's going to open up some stuff as well. I am a little pissed off at Debo because, he was talking about how he needs to get the ball more. It's
he was tweeting. Yeah, he was out there tweeting. Yeah,
it's like, bro, you look like you're carrying a rhinoceros on your back. Like, I don't want to hear that you need the ball more. I want you to get some separation.
The people that were responding to the tweets were great. They were all calling him fat and out of shape. It's great.
Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, I love Debo, and I've always been a huge Debo fan. And it's like, bro, you're playing like doo-doo this year. Like, I don't want to hear you whine. Prove it to me.
Especially when it's not like, it's not like the team really needs any more BS when they're 5-7 going into that game, Or actually, wasn't he whining after the game that he didn't get
He's whining after. He's whining after.
Typical receiver. That's a typical receiver. It really is. Oh, man. So, are you feeling a little more confident? Do you think that they can be more consistent in the way they call these games, or do you think he's going to get away from it after 1 week? Because it is a short week this week. They play tonight, and Guerendo says he's going to play, but he hasn't practiced in any of the walkthroughs, so it kind of doesn't seem likely. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly him and Huge Greenlaw's supposed to play tonight, so I'm optimistic. I'll say that.
You think they can win? They're at home. This series has been super competitive. The Rams and 49ers since Sean McVay got there. I think the last 5. I think San Francisco had won the first 3, but the Rams have won the last 2.
Well, I mean, the Rams escaped with 1.
Yeah, I remember that game, like in week 3 or whatever it was. Yeah.
So I mean, if you're the Niners, this is the perfect time to get back at them, take that back, because now if you win this week, you are in the thick of the playoff race. If you lose, you're done. So, I mean, you got to nut up, as they would say. Other than that, like, there's really nothing else to it. Just get out there, nut up, and prove that you belong in the playoffs. I think if they win tonight, I really am not worried about Miami. I think they can take care of business there. And then it really comes down to that Detroit game. Like, I think the last 3 out of 4 games are very winnable.
All right, so the 49ers fan is finally, for the first time this season, sounded a little confident, folks.
Sheepishly optimistic.
Oh, he sounded pretty confident to me, but what do I know? So yeah, we'll see. That is a big one tonight, 49ers and Rams. I'm predicting that this will have been posted for about 45 minutes by the time that thing kicks off. So I have to be in at 6:30 in the morning. I'm going to try to watch that whole game. No guarantees there.
I was going to say, you crazy.
Yeah, a little bit. But I want to watch it. Those are always entertaining games. Oh, here's a question for you. So I'm in the playoffs in a dynasty league this week. My 2 quarterbacks are Big D, Sam Darnold, and Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy should have a good game. He always plays pretty well against the Rams. They don't play a lot of man coverage. They play a lot of zone. Kittle kills zone. I think Kittle and him have a big night.
Yeah. I mean, they're both divisional games.
Jason Tatum me already.
Partially the Bears. This is just I don't know. I don't have to do personal questions. I could cut this out. But the Darnold facing the Bears, they've already played each other once. I don't know if the Bears have actually quit, but the Bears were a problem on defense for a long time this season, really until the coach got fired. So I've been planning on rolling Purdy. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. We're going to go to the other NFC West battle here. There was an NFC West battle. Could have been a first place battle, but the Seattle Seahawks, without their starting running back, Kenneth Walker, they go into Arizona as I expected they would, and they beat the Cardinals rather handily, 30-18. Seattle goes to 8-5. Cardinals dropped to 6-7. Seattle was up 24-10 at halftime. They didn't look back. Oh, did you know? And this is a conversation for another day, but I think at the end of the season, we're going to have the Kyler Murray conversation. I think he sucks. Sorry, I do. Through two,
I've never thought he was very good.
I don't understand all the.
But I say it all the time. Thank you so much, Arizona, because we got Mr. Bosa from it. So great pick.
Yeah, good pick, guys. All Kyler Murray did was throw interceptions on back-to-back drives in the first quarter, and they both led to Seattle touchdowns. That's the difference in the game. Geno, 233 through the air for a touchdown. Zach Charbonnet had 193 total yards on 29 touches without Kenneth Walker in the lineup. He scored 2 touchdowns on the ground. Jackson Smith-Njigba, 5 catches for 82 and a touchdown. DK Metcalf has not been the same since he's come back from his knee injury. 4 catches for 49 for him. Did you know Jackson Smith, I'm just going to call him JSN. JSN leads Seattle in receptions with 75 and receiving yards with 911. He is tied for the 9th in the NFL in receptions, and he is all alone in 6th in receiving yards. And they really didn't feature him except for one game, really for the first 6 weeks of this season. So he's doing what they expected them to do. They expected him to do when they picked him, I think 19th overall in the draft last year. So good for them, I guess. You're not going to be a Seahawks fan here. Seattle has won 4 in a row, 3 of them against the division, and they sweep the season series with the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, 259, 2 touchdowns to go with those 2 interceptions. James Conner, 18 for 90 on the ground, 4 for 32 and a touchdown through the air. Trey McBride, 7 catches for 70 yards on 14 targets for him. And Marvin Harrison Jr. should be better than this, and he's victimized by poor quarterback play. 4 catches for 49 yards on 8 targets for him. I've already mentioned that Seattle will play Green Bay on Sunday Night Football. Meanwhile, the Cardinals, in a get-right spot, if they care, are hosting the New England Patriots at 4:25 Eastern on Sunday. Anything you want to add?
Jason Tatum me already.
Okay, fine.
I just hope they all lose. That's all I care about.
All right, fair enough. No, that's fine. That's fine. We got to keep it moving. Your wife's probably knocking on the door like, dude, what the hell? We got to have dinner. So, okay. Unfortunately, this next one might take a few minutes. It was the game of the year so far in the 425 window, as far as I'm concerned. 44-42, the Rams barely beat the Buffalo Bills. Rams needed that win. They go to 7-6. Bills fall to 10-3. I will run through this as quickly as I can, sir. 902 yards of total offense between the two teams. 0 sacks and 0 turnovers in this game. They combined 16 for 24 on third downs. Rams led 24-14 at the half and 38-21 at the end of the third quarter. You're thinking it's over, right? Wrong. The will of Josh Allen playing at an MVP level, because that's what's going on right now. Sorry, I don't like to say it, but it's true. They almost brought the Bills. He almost brought the Bills all the way back. Bills received the ball with 18 seconds left in the third quarter. Last play of that quarter is Allen scrambling for 20. Questionable horse collar tackle call. Adds 15 onto that play. Then after the quarter break, first play of the fourth, it's Allen hitting Khalil Shakir for a 34-yard strike down to the 1. Allen would punch it in for his second rushing touchdown of the day at the time. Extra points good, 14:27 to go. Bills cut it 38-28. Next drive, Buffalo with a rare stop on defense. Rams go 3 and out. Rams went 11 for 15 on third down.
Jason Tatum me already.
Okay. Josh is just waiting for me to just shut up. Bills.
I sighed because that's
trash. That's trash. Bills take it over all the way back at their own 9-yard line with 12:52 to go now. Allen leads them down the field again. He goes 6 for 7 for 51 yards through the air and adds 33 more on the ground, including a 30-yard scramble. He finds Mac Hollins down the right sideline for a 21-yard score. Bills kick the extra point. It's now 38, 35, 8:49 to go. Now they've got plenty of time, right? Well, Stafford and the Rams, they come up with an answer. It's an 11-play, 71-yard drive by the Rams. It is capped by a 19-yard strike to Puka Nacua for a touchdown. If you watch this game, you know Puka Nacua was on another planet in this game. He was unstoppable. The catch he made along the sideline with one hand, like completely stretched out, like midair. I had no idea how he got his feet down. He made a couple incredible catches in this game. The extra point was actually missed, so it's only 44-35. But the Rams,
what's his name? Party, right? He's
Cardi.
Yeah, he's had an amazing year.
Yeah, I love dome kickers. But in this instance, did not come through. So it's only 44-35. Only 1:54 to go, though, because the Rams took 6:45 off the clock. So it's got to be over, right? Not so fast. Allen hits Cooper for 25 yards, then gets the benefit of 2 defensive PI penalties for a total of another 40 yards. So they're on the Rams' 1-yard line. I don't know if you saw this sequence or not, but Tom Brady was all over it.
Oh, yeah. I was texting you during it.
Right. We were like, what the hell are they doing running the ball? Because you only have 1:06 to go. You have all 3 timeouts. You have to throw the ball in that spot.
You throw the ball 3 times. If you don't get it, you kick the field goal and you get the ball back.
Right, exactly. No bones about it right there. So all 3 timeouts and 1:06 to go. The coaching staff blew this. They just did. Tom Brady pointed it out on the broadcast. He actually said they just cost themselves the game as they were running the ball.
He was 100% right.
Yeah, Brady had a good game in the broadcast booth in this one. It was honestly, he's gotten pretty good. So basically, whatever, they eventually punch it in because they have to call 1 timeout. That's all it takes in that situation is to waste 1 timeout.
So now you have to go for an onside kick.
Right, but they do it again, bro. They do it again, and Allen gets it in this time, and then some idiot, I think it was Dion Dawkins or whatever, 15-yard, whatever it was like a personal foul or an unnecessary, whatever it was.
So you got a 50-yard extra point.
Yeah, 48-yard extra points, good. But the Rams are up 44-42. Now the Bills don't have the timeouts, so obviously they have to go for the onside kick. It doesn't work. And the Rams hold on. It's an instant classic, 44-42. They escape. The Bills probably thinking they should have won that game, but they can only blame themselves. This is the first game in NFL history that a quarterback has ever had 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns in the same game. First time it's ever happened in history. That was Josh Allen. Big day for him. 342 through the air and 82 on the ground, 3 apiece. Amari Cooper, 6 catches for 95. Khalil Shakir, 5 for 106 and a touchdown. Stafford, 320 and 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams, 29 for 87 and 2 touchdowns. Puka Nacua, 12 for 162 and a score. He also added a rushing touchdown. Cooper Kupp had a receiving touchdown as well. What do we make of this one? Does this hurt the candidacy of the Bills going forward? And does it legitimize the Rams at all going forward?
The only thing I think it hurts is the Bills' chance at the number 1 seed. Their defense has been all year. Like, it's kind of like if you talk to a Bills fan, like their defense has been kind of torn up. Like they're kind of injured. So you were kind of waiting for it to come to a head, and this week it did. But I don't see them going forward and like peeing down their leg, and then all of a sudden, they're 10-7. Like, I don't see that happening. I just think they really hurt themselves for the number 1 seed, and I think Josh Allen essentially tied up the MVP.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I mean, he really kind of put him on his back in this one. They really could have won that game. But, yeah, that defense is a bit of a problem, I guess. They play real opponents. So, we already mentioned, but Buffalo will go to Detroit for the 4:25 game in the prime slot on Sunday. And the Rams will go to Santa Clara to play the 49ers tonight. Josh, we just have one left in week 14. And then we really got to get it moving after that for everybody's sake. Chiefs win by the same score that they won the week before, 19-17 over the Chargers. They've improved to 12-1. Chargers dropped to 8-5. I just want you to know the Kansas City Chiefs' average margin of victory this season is 5.4 points. That's
if you took away the final 2 minutes of an NFL game, they'd have the worst record in the NFL.
That's
which speaks to the greatness of Patrick Mahomes, but it also speaks to the beatability of this team.
Yeah,
like they can be beaten.
The 12-1 record's completely fraudulent, folks. They can be had. They led this one 13-0 at halftime. They trailed 14-13 after 3 quarters. Chiefs MVP in this game was another new kicker named Matthew Wright, who hit 4 field goals in this game.
Also kicked for the Niners earlier this year.
I thought so. I thought I saw that name before. Maybe he kicked for Minnesota for a couple games last year too, because that name looked kind of familiar.
Yeah, he kicked for the Niners after Moody hurt his ankle, and literally Wright got hurt doing the same thing Moody did, tackling someone on a kickoff.
Kicker.
And then we actually signed Anders Carlson, the now kicker for New York Jets.
Right, and Anders Carlson was a former kicker. Was that Dylan Carlson? No, and Dylan Carlson's the baseball.
Packers, right? The Packers, he got cut.
I thought that he was the kicker for...
No, they're brothers. Las Vegas is Dylan.
Okay. All right.
So Las Vegas is Dylan. His brother is Anders. He kicked, I believe, for the Packers last year, got cut. Then the Niners picked him up when Matthew Wright got hurt, and then Las Vegas picked him up. Not Las Vegas. New York picked him up when Zerline got hurt.
All right, well, I really appreciate your in-depth knowledge of kickers and what teams they've kicked for, but I think
kicking has been crazy this year. You got to know the kickers because it's going to screw you.
Yeah, they're going to eventually. They always do, right? So anyway, Chiefs get this one. They were trailing 17-16 when they got the ball back with 4:35 to go, and the veteran team with the experience manages to get into field goal range, kill the entire clock, and get the game-winning field goal with no time left. They know how to win ugly. We've seen it all year when it hasn't been gift wrapped for them by the officials. But when it hasn't, they know how to win ugly, and that's what they keep doing. But it definitely can dry up. And their remaining schedule is not easy either, by the way. We'll get to that in just a moment. For the Chargers, no J.K. Dobbins has definitely hurt their offense, and they were also missing Ladd McConkey in this one.
That was huge.
That's huge. A big one. That's a big one. I had the Chargers in this game. I should have flipped my pick when I realized that Ladd was going to be out because that's too much to overcome, but they really could have won this game. Gus Edwards punches in a touchdown on the ground. Herbert throws for 213 and a touchdown. Josh Palmer steps up 6 for 78. And Quentin Johnston, their first-round pick last year, at least he hasn't been total crap this year. He's popped a couple times, 5 for 48 and a touchdown for him. The Chargers also lose their starting tight end, Will Dissly, in this game. I think he has a shoulder injury that's going to keep him out probably for the rest of the season, something like that. On the other side for Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes is a very pedestrian 210 yards and 1 score for him. Isaiah Pacheco, 14 for 55 on the ground. Travis Kelce, 5 catches for 45. DeAndre Hopkins, 4 catches for 32 and a touchdown. Pedestrian crap Kansas City football. They win. They'll be at Cleveland in the 1 o'clock window, and hopefully it's a trap game for them. And the Chargers are hosting the Tampa Bay Bucks at 4:25 Eastern. That game is going to be interesting if McConkey can get back for it. We're gonna go. I'm gonna keep it moving here, but we'll talk about your Chargers in a minute because they're still in. They're the second wild card right now. We got to get to that, so I'm just gonna keep it moving, folks. We have gone through week 14. Congratulations. You got through it with us. It took damn near an hour, but it's always a good time. Josh, thank you again by the way, Josh Morris is on the show. Josh, thank you again. You seem like you're a little bushed, buddy, but I appreciate you being on the show nonetheless, as always.
Was that a knock at the beard?
No. The beard it's getting a little scraggly, but it still looks good. But no, you seem like you might have had a long day or something. That's all I'm saying.
No.
Okay. No. He's fine. He's just waiting. He's just. I'm sorry if I'm talking too much. I tend to do that. So we have a 6-pack of games here in week 15. This is going to be an opportunity for you to tell me what you think about tonight's game, sir. The first one is the Los Angeles Rams, 7-6. They are 3-point underdogs in Santa Clara tonight at the San Francisco 49ers, 6-7. What do you think happens in this game?
I'll tell you at halftime.
Oh, yeah, right, because it's the 49ers have very much been a fall apart in the second half team this year.
You'll know when you get the text, bet against them, because I can usually tell about halfway through a game if they're going to win or not. I'm hoping they come out. I'm hoping they run a similar offense to what they ran against the Bears. Space out the field, get some guys in front of Kittle, in front of Debo, Garendo, get them out in space and let them do their thing. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to see. The Rams couldn't get to Josh Allen. Like, they couldn't, and that's been one of the biggest issues for the Niners. There's no Trent Williams tonight. They haven't been able to protect. Like, if you can protect Purdy, he's going to do what you need him to do. The Rams can't play man coverage, so they're going to play a lot of zone. You should be able to let Purdy just pick them apart.
Well, in one aspect, I certainly hope you're right about that. Now, if Isaac Garendo doesn't play with his foot sprain, do you have anything on Patrick Taylor Jr.? Do I have that right?
Nothing. I'm pretty sure they just signed him off the practice squad like when CMC went down. So, I mean, he had some decent runs in that Chicago game. Looked like he's another quick guy, not like the strongest runner, but it looks like he could definitely pop one for us if we need to. So, I just don't want to see it turn into a Purdy drop back 40 times because their offensive line can't sustain that right now.
Gotcha. So that
especially because I don't think Aaron Banks is back either. So it's like they're down like 2-3 linemen.
Well, they're down 2-3 linemen, folks. He's the expert on the 49ers. It's one to watch tonight for sure. As honestly, a lot of good Thursday night games this season for a Giants.
Yeah, it's been a nice difference for sure.
Yeah, because normally it's like Thursday night. It's like, well, do I even want to bother watching this thing? Because it's like Jacksonville and Tennessee, but we've had good ones this year. And this one should not disappoint. We will move forward, folks. The 425 window features the Detroit Lions hosting the Buffalo Bills. Detroit 12-1, Buffalo 10-3. Buffalo only 1.5-point underdogs in this game. Josh, I think they can pull the upset on the road. I think that they can win this game. This might be another one that has both teams in the 40s, though.
It could definitely. I will say, I mean, Detroit the last couple weeks has looked gettable. I mean, they could have lost to Chicago. They probably should have.
They probably should have, yeah, because Chicago should have tied that game. They called the timeout.
At least yeah. They should have had time to make a chance to go for it, and go for the win. So I don't know. Detroit has looked human, and they have a bunch of injuries on the front seven.
Right.
So any run because what's it called? LaFleur went at them with Jacobs. He had 3 touchdowns. So I'd like to see Buffalo at least try to stick to the run for a little bit before you just let Josh Allen, go crazy.
I agree with you. I think that's the key. Honestly, James Cook's had a really good season, and they have a bruiser behind James Cook and Ray Davis who can also do a good job for them between the tackles. So I think you're right about that. And plus, Josh Allen has been killing people when he decides he wants to run. He's absolutely killing people this year. So that's going to definitely be one to watch, but we're flying through it, folks. I don't know if you're going to agree with me on this one, Josh, but the Miami Dolphins at 6-7 travel to the Houston Texans at 8-5. Miami's only 3-point dogs in this game. You got anything for me? I know you don't think Miami's legit. I also know you don't think Houston's legit. I'm not saying that I do, but I might think that Miami's a little bit better than you think they are. So does Miami? I think Miami can pull this game off. I think they can win it.
I agree, especially because I have been preaching to you all year. What is Houston's biggest issue? The big play. Mike McDaniels, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, that tree is going for the big play. And with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, you have chances to really stretch them out. And that's been their biggest issue. Over the top, getting beat, missed coverages. I could definitely see a couple missed coverages turn into 40, 50, 60-yard touchdown plays.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that, too, is that Miami has kind of changed their offense a little bit this year where they're not taking anywhere near as many shots down the field, and yet they're having similar success. At least now the Tua has been back for a while. And like I said, I gave you the stats earlier. He's completing 76% of his passes, throwing for almost 300 yards a game, and he's not turning the football over at all. So, but you're right. This seems like a spot. And Houston's defense has gotten worse as the season's gone along, right? So this is a spot for them to air it out. I think Miami can pull that off. So yeah, Houston could fall to 8-6.
And that would open the door for Indianapolis if they lose.
Indianapolis has got I'd say out of all the contenders in the AFC, Indianapolis has the easiest schedule left. So that's a real possibility. We will get to the AFC and NFC conference standings in just a moment here, folks. Pittsburgh is 10-3. They travel to Philadelphia, and another one to watch for Week 15. The Pittsburgh's 5.5-point dogs are not going to have their number one receiver, George Pickens. I don't love Philly. I haven't all season, but they have won, I believe it's 8 games in a row at this point, or 9 games in a row, 8 games in a row. And they're starting to beat teams that are actually, well, they barely beat Carolina.
Yeah, it's crazy. You beat Baltimore one week handedly, and then you scrape by in Carolina.
It's a crazy league, folks, but I got to be honest with you. This one, see how many times have I screwed with my hat? It always ends up I look like a douche. Anyway, without Pickens, I don't think Pittsburgh can win this game, basically.
It'll definitely be tough, for sure.
So would you take Philly in this one, even though neither of us really are completely sold on them? Because they could end up tied as the number one seed by the end of this week.
It's one of those things where it's like, sometimes you want to pick against them, and it's like, yeah, I'm just going to end up with an egg on my face. So you ride it until the wheels fall off, you know?
Yeah, it just feels like a spot. It doesn't feel like a good spot for Pittsburgh here to me. So I will take Philly. I will take them to cover that 5.5 as well. We got 2 more left and ones to watch. Tampa Bay at 7-6, but they now are in first place in the NFC South. They are 3-point dogs at the Los Angeles Chargers. This is another one where I think the road team can win it. What say you? If the Chargers, the Chargers, it's a lot of ifs, right?
It's gonna come down. I think Herbert really loves McConkey. Like, they clearly have some chemistry there, and to not have him, you kind of saw it against Kansas City, and Kansas City has a good defense on top of it. So Tampa Bay's defense nowhere near as good. So I think they are going to be able to exploit that a little, especially in the run game. But I'm not going to pick against my Chargers. Not yet.
His Chargers, folks. All right, well, take committed. I give him credit for sticking to the bit. I happen to like Tampa Bay here. They're getting hot at the right time. Baker's playing. Baker Mayfield's actually, I think 4th in the league in passing yards too. It's been a quiet but very good season for him. Give me Tampa in this one, but I don't blame you for staying take committed. It's a West Coast game. Tampa's traveling. Understand all that. Folks, one more to watch in Week 15. We're flying through it at this point. It's the Green Bay Packers, and they are 3-point dogs at 9-4, traveling to the first place Seattle Seahawks at 8-5. Josh, you have no love lost for either of these teams. Do you have anything for me on this game?
Go Packers.
Wow. That's gotta suck to say that.
I have to because I need some help, unfortunately. So
you need the division to come back into play, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly, right? If they, again, we were talking about it off air. Seattle, or maybe we weren't on air. Seattle's got a tough trek in front of them.
Yes, they do.
They got the Packers, and then they got the Vikings back to back. Like, that could easily bang your 8-7. You know what I mean? And now everyone's back in it. That division, and I think the NFC South are all going to come down to Week 18.
Yeah, and that's what we want out of regular season football, folks, is stuff like what Josh just mentioned. Packers are 3-point dogs here. I'm still not really sold on Seattle, but this feels like a spot where Green Bay is going to lose. I don't know why. Give me the Packers. I'm coming around to it. Give me the Pack. I don't think Seattle's like an 11-win team for some reason.
No, and I think Seattle has played pretty well coming off their bye the last couple weeks.
Yes.
That might come to a head this game, where now they're starting to get a little more tired playing back-to-back weeks. You know, out of the bye, you're always feeling fresh, rejuvenated. You play a little better usually. So they might come back down to earth in the next couple weeks against, again, the Packers and Minnesota. Those are going to be 2 physical games, especially because Green Bay wants to run the ball. They want to beat you in between the trenches. That's going to be a physical game, and then they got Minnesota. It's going to be a tough 2-game schedule for Seattle.
Yeah, we're going to get into everybody's remaining schedule here coming up, folks, because that concludes the 6-pack of games that I think are definitely worth keying in on. And I'm sure there's a couple other intriguing ones as well, but we're not covering the whole league here. So just keep an eye on those 6, right? So now we're closing out the show, and buddy, we're at like an hour and a half here, and I'm sure your wife's probably pissed at me because you probably want to go to dinner at this point. And if you got to run, let me know. But hopefully we can get through this in 10 minutes here. It is first of all, we appreciate you sticking. Thank you for doing the good, the bad, the meh, and the ugly. The good, the great, the meh. The good, the great, the meh, and the ugly. Right. We did that. That was fun for 6 shows. But we're at the point now where playoff races are shaping up and everything's tightening up. And we're going to do it a little bit differently now. So,
and we don't care about those ugly teams. We don't care about them.
Well, we know their ass. Like, we know your ass. Like, we don't need to spend time talking about them. What we do need to spend time talking about is just how tight these 2 conferences are right now with 4 games left to go for every team in the league. Don't know how I want to do it exactly here, but we're going to go. So here basically is how it is, right? AFC. Little graphic will now appear on your screen. AFC. Kansas City is at 12-1. Buffalo is number 2 at 10-3. Pittsburgh is 10-3. They are leading the NFC North. They are 3rd seed. Houston is the number 4 seed, leading the AFC South at 8-5. Your 3 wild cards are all 8-5. Baltimore, Chargers, and Denver. Baltimore owns the tiebreaker over both of those teams. That's why it is the way it is. Also, LA owns the tiebreaker over Denver. They still have to play each other again. For the rest of the AFC that might have a shot at it, Indianapolis and Miami are both 6-7. Cincinnati is 5-8. Technically hasn't been eliminated, but I told Josh just before we started recording, they're 0-7 against above 500 teams. They're done. They're done. They're not winning 4 in a row to get in, and everybody else is going to fall apart. That's not going to happen. But Indy and Miami, Indy especially has a pretty doable schedule. They could go 3-1 here. It's possible. We'll talk about the AFC first. What do you see here, my friend? And I've got all I've got everybody's schedule, in parentheses next to their teams. So, Kansas City has got 3 games on the road left out of 4. They're 12-1. They have a 2-game lead in the conference. At Cleveland, at home against Houston, at Pittsburgh, at Denver. I feel like 2 of those games are really all 4 of them are losable because you just never know. But I don't see Kansas City going 16-1 here either.
No, Denver almost had them just a month ago. If it wasn't for a blocked field goal.
They should have won that game. Yeah.
Right? Houston could be an interesting game. And what was the one after Houston?
At Pittsburgh.
Yeah, could be another, tough game as well.
I can see
them losing 2 of those games.
I can too. Yeah. So the question is, can the Buffalo Bills, so let's say hypothetically speaking, let's just wind up the time machine here. Kansas City ends up 14-3, which is certainly possible. I don't know if they're going to be worse than that. Buffalo sits at 10-3. After the Detroit game, they have the Patriots, the Jets, and then at the Patriots again. So the Bills can absolutely go. They can run the table. If they can beat Detroit, they have no excuse. They should run the table. So what do you think about that? It really comes down to that Detroit game. You can never assume everything, but the Bills enjoy, trust me when I tell you this, the Bills enjoy beating the Patriots. And if the Bills are, I promise you that's true. Do you blame them? They were our punching bag for 20 years. And now it could still be for the number 1 seed, could very well be on the line that last week of the season. So to me, that 1 seed's up for grabs.
I mean, especially so say they beat Detroit and then they see Kansas City lose. It'll really be it'll be like blood in the water for them. You know what I mean? It'll be like, all right, we got to do this now. Everything's in front of us.
Does it seem like almost inevitable that we're going to get the Buffalo Kansas City playoff game again?
Oh, I mean, the NFL would love it.
Yeah, I mean, I
it.
kind of would too, to be honest with you. And I hate both of them, but like, give me the Bills every time at this point. You know what I mean? They never want a damn thing. So that's a possible though. That's a possible one seed in play right there, folks. For Pittsburgh, I don't think that's possible. Let me tell you why. They have the same record as Buffalo, but they are at Philly, at Baltimore, at home against Kansas City, and they've already they lost to Cincinnati already. So they have Cincinnati in week 18. So I don't think Pittsburgh's one on the table here. I mean, I think Pittsburgh might even lose out. So I don't know what you think about that, but
I mean, I don't know about losing out. I mean, especially because at this point, I had thought they were going to lose a lot of games. So I'm not going to bet against them just yet because that defense is legit. So, and they haven't lost to anyone in their division yet, have they?
They lost to Cincinnati, didn't they? No, they won that game 44-38.
44-38.
44-38. Yeah, you're right. I don't think so.
They haven't lost in their division yet. Nothing proves to me that they're gonna. They seem to have Lamar's number.
That's true.
So I don't know. I don't see them winning out, but I don't see them losing out either.
I mean, fair enough. So maybe,
and I also don't see them losing the 3 seed.
Yeah, no, wow. Yeah, well, I mean, considering Houston would have to
win out.
Houston would have to win out, right? I mean, I could still see Pittsburgh at like 11-6 here.
So 3 out of 4.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, maybe. I don't know. You figure you probably just play it safe, say they go 2-2.
Yeah, that's what I would say, 2-2, and then that would make it so the Texans have to win out.
And I don't think that Houston will, because Houston at 8-5 has got Miami at home, which I think that is the game. I think they lose it. It's losable. Then they got to go to Kansas City. Then they have to play Baltimore at home.
Oh my word!
Yeah, that's pretty rough, right? And then they have Tennessee at the end of the season. But I think we kind of know Houston looks like a 10-win max team to me, and that's if they beat Miami. So
yeah.
We'll just say we're slogging along here, folks, but the Baltimore Ravens, who have had what I feel like has probably been the toughest schedule in the league. I'm stunned that they have 5 losses. They did start 0-2. The Ravens, if they beat Pittsburgh, they're going to have a shot at that division, though, I think, because their other 3 games are at the Giants, at Texans, and against Cleveland. And Cleveland will have nothing to play for in week 18. So maybe you agree with me.
I'm trying to think. The Steelers,
they're up 2 games right now.
Are they up 2 or 3? Because
2.
What's their division record? Cleveland beat Baltimore. So Baltimore's division record might be worse. And I believe that's the second tiebreaker, correct?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so you're right then. So, and they also, I mean, it would cancel out if they beat Pittsburgh.
Each other. Right, but that might be Pittsburgh's only loss. Oh no, because Pittsburgh lost to Cleveland as well.
Right. Yeah. So,
Cleveland might be the land of tiebreakers. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So I could see them ending up with the same record though. So we'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, then it'd be division, conference, and then I think it's strength of schedule or whatever it might be.
Right, but we don't think that Indianapolis or Miami is going to leapfrog Baltimore. Let's say.
No, I honestly think the way it is right now might be the way it stays.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, to be honest. Like Chargers. So the Chargers are 8-5 as well. They have Tampa Bay and Denver at home. Not easy games there, especially because they're so banged up. But then they go to New England, a game
and Las Vegas,
and then at Vegas. Unfortunately, I'm going to the New England game. So we'll be starting early, needless to say, on that one. Chargers are going to end up, you're going to be right. I think they're going to be elite. They're probably going to be a 10-win team. They might be an 11-win team. I mean, kudos to you on that one. I got to give you your props for that. So they're probably not falling out of it. I've always wondered if Denver was a little bit of a fraud team.
Rookie quarterback. We're going to see how he comes down to the end of the year now. 16 games, 17 games. Like, we'll see. I mean, he's been playing some elite football.
He's been playing great. Certainly.
The stats that I saw, like between the 11 starts that he's had or whatever, or the last like 6-7 starts, he had like 20 TDs and only 2 interceptions, and only like him, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady, and it might have been Drew Brees were like the only other guys to have a span of 20 TDs and 2 I was like, wow, that's absurdity to me.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I mean, Sean Payton certainly got the quarterback he wanted, I guess, as it turned out. So, I mean, Sean Payton's coaching his ass off with this team. They sit at 8-5. Their remaining schedule is Indianapolis, at the Chargers, at Cincinnati, and against Cleveland. So that's not a walk in the park for them.
But I could definitely see 2-2 there.
I could see 2-2, which would put them at 10-7, which means that Indianapolis, in theory, would have to run the table. And that means if Indianapolis runs the table, that means that Denver loses to Indianapolis. So the Colts have to go to Denver, and then it's a cupcake schedule from there. But then again, I don't think the Colts are really that good. Tennessee at the Giants, and then Jacksonville to close out the season for Indy. So if they could manage to beat Denver, they'd make things really interesting.
Yeah, if they can sneak one out of Mile High, they definitely got a chance.
That would be very interesting. So we will have to keep an eye on that as well. This will be an every week thing for the rest of the show here. We're going to constantly keep doing the standings, whether Josh is on or it's just me or what have you. That's what we're going to do. So the final contender for a playoff spot in the AFC to me is Miami at 6-7, and they've got their work cut out for them. They're
losing next week. They're losing next week, so
I think that they can win that game at Houston, especially because you've been calling Houston frauds for the last 13 weeks or 14 weeks, and all of a sudden they're going to beat Miami. But
no. They're losing next week.
Oh, it's to San Francisco, right?
They're losing to San Francisco.
They got to go to the West Coast to play San Francisco. You know what? I'll give you that. If all things are the way they should be, they should lose to San Francisco. They should lose to San Francisco, and that would effectively end their run, especially if they lose to Houston this week. Miami does finish at Cleveland and at the Jets, though. So if they win this game against Houston, they're interesting as well. So the bottom line, folks, is in the AFC. We really don't have anything tied up just yet. Now we get to the NFC. It's even more tightly packed. And we kind of fly through this. We're going to get up on 2 hours here. But Detroit 12-1, Philadelphia 11-2 are the top 2 teams. Then Seattle at 8-5 and Tampa Bay at 7-6. They lead their division. The wild card teams are all better or equal to Seattle and Tampa. Minnesota is 11-2 and they're the 5 seed. Green Bay 9-4 is the 6 seed, and Washington at 8-5 is your 7 seed. What a turnaround for them. And then you have 4 contenders for those final 3 wild cards. Well, I really think it's just the last 2 wild card spots and maybe even just the last 1. But
yeah, I think the only team that falls out could be Washington.
Yes, and I know you said that a couple weeks ago after they lost that game to who did they blow?
Cowboys.
Yes, that's right. That wacky, crazy ending to that game. That was nuts. But the other key here is that if Seattle does have that brutal schedule that we've already mentioned a couple times, if Seattle were to lose those 2 home games, then the West is very much back in play, and everyone in the West is still mathematically has a chance to win that division. So,
I mean, you'd imagine the Cardinals win this week.
I believe that the Cardinals will beat the Patriots this week. So
if they win, the Niners win. Everyone is 7-7.
7-7. Yep.
And then if the Seahawks lose on Sunday night, it's literally a game between 4 teams.
Right. Which is how it's been for I feel like the whole second half of the season here, really.
Yeah, they've just been,
right.
And like a Mario Kart race where they're just kind of up and down.
You never pull away in a Mario Kart race, and you never want to be in first place near the end of the last lap either.
No.
So, but Seattle, yeah, I said it earlier. I think 8-5 is a little bit strong for them. I think 11 wins is kind of high for them. And they do have a tough schedule. So
yeah, I think 10-7, possibly even 9-8 wins that division.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well. I think 10-7 wins that division. So, well, we'll see. Because Seattle could easily lose 3 out of 4 here. So,
Right?
yeah,
They got to face the Rams, and the Rams could beat them.
yes, they can. Especially because the Rams, that's a home game for the Rams. So, let's just get into it real quick. Detroit at 12-1. They have got Buffalo, Chicago on the road, San Francisco on the road, and Minnesota. I can see Detroit losing 2 of these games, Josh. Maybe even, probably 2. 2. I think they'll get Minnesota at the end of the last week of the year. That game could be for the 1 seed though. So,
Yeah, well, we will see. I mean, you could definitely go 1-3 in that span, depending on coaching, depending on they're like I said, man, their front 7 is really beat up. So
right.
it'll come down to if they can put enough duct tape on it and hold it together for 4 weeks.
Well, they need the 1 seed because they need the bye week. I mean, everybody's beat up this time of year, but Detroit's definitely beat up. So, Philadelphia is sitting there in the 2 seed. I feel like they're going to be comfortably in the 2 seed here. They have Pittsburgh at home. They're at Washington. Then they play Dallas and the Giants. So, I think this is a team that might be sitting people week 18 because they're going to be locked into the 2 seed. At Washington's an interesting game. Washington's going to need that game most likely. So that could be an interesting one as well. We mentioned
I could definitely see 3-1, 4-0 there.
Yeah, if Detroit loses to Buffalo and Philly beats Pittsburgh, well, now it's on because you're tied with 3 games left. I gotta love this camera. So, I mean, that could be. I mean, this is good stuff right now. This is all really tightly packed. Seattle at 8-5 has Green Bay, Minnesota, at Chicago, and at the Rams. We already kind of both agree they could easily go 1-3. I do think the NFC South is locked up. I think Tampa is going to end up at the 3 or 4 seed, depending on how they finish. But they are at the Chargers. I think they'll win. You are take committed and don't think they'll win. Then they're at Dallas, Carolina, and New Orleans. So Tampa should go 3-1 minimum. They should. We'll see. Minnesota 11-2. We said they could be playing for that 1 seed, but their schedule is not going to be easy. They have Chicago at home, and then they go to Seattle. Then they play Green Bay at home, and they finish at Detroit. Oof. So I mean, I could see Minnesota anywhere from 13-4 I could see them anywhere from 14-3 to 12-4 or 12-5. You get what I'm saying? It's been talking a lot. We've kind of gone through all this at this point, right? So Green Bay 9-4 at Seattle, New Orleans at Minnesota and Chicago. So they're probably going to hang and stay in that spot. They won't win their division, obviously. Washington at New Orleans, Philadelphia, and Atlanta at home, and then at Dallas. I would say that's a good bet at 3-1, but they already lost to Dallas. New Orleans is playing kind of hard. Atlanta's going to be
URI guy for a URI guy.
Hey, that's right. Oh man, I'm dragging 2 here. But Atlanta's going to be fighting for their lives too. It's no guarantee that Washington gets in. And then the 4 contenders just outside the playoff picture right now, but very much still alive. The Rams at 7-6, Falcons at 6-7, but their best bet might be the NFC South. Arizona at 6-7, and your 49ers at 6-7. So Niners definitely don't have an easy schedule. Really, nobody has an easy schedule except for Atlanta here. So we shall see, my friend. I guess that's it. You've had it. I'm going to let him go because his wife's going to kill me. Folks, he's Josh Morris. I'm Scott Tirana. It's his Tirana Dome. We went a little long. As always, there's chapters in the description. So if you want to whine about it in the comments, that's fine. There's one other thing. And Josh, I couldn't have done this without you. It's not a huge deal in the grand scheme of things. But folks, I just wanted to say thanks. We hit the channel. The YouTube channel has finally surpassed 1,000 subscribers. So yeah, there we go. Yes, let's give a little round of applause. Thank you to those who have subscribed, and please tell your people. And we're going to continue to keep trying to grow the thing. And Josh, I got to thank you so much for coming on for these, 7 out of the last 14 weeks and helping me, get this thing taken off. And I'm looking forward to bringing it even, further along. So we'll see, but we're just having fun for now, but you never know, folks. Next milestone is going to be 50 episodes. We're only a couple weeks away from that too. So
wow, there we go, man.
Yeah. So, enough people asked me why I wasn't doing the podcast anymore. It's like, oh, it was pretty good. You should bring it back. I was like, all right. I already had the mic. I was like, all right. And
you coerced me into it. You coerced me.
You really got a gun to my head there on that one. So, but yeah, thank you so much to everybody that subscribed. I also got to thank my guy over in the UK that's helping me push the watch hours and everything. I think it's only going to go up from here, folks. So, please come back next week. We'll have more great content for you. I will also say that I'm going to give myself and this man the Christmas holiday off. And you didn't see his reaction, but I did. It's like, yeah, he's my boss. We'll do a show on the 26th if I can get you for a show on the 26th. That'll be a Thursday. If you can do that.
Right?
Yeah, if you can do that. Obviously we should enjoy our Christmas Eve and Christmases and let everybody do that. I wouldn't expect you to watch an hour and a half show on Christmas Eve or Christmas anyway. So, folks, I'm Scott. He's Josh. Josh, thank you again, my friend.
No problem. Thank you for having me as always, sir.
As always, my friend, please say I'm sorry to Sarah when you go upstairs or downstairs or whatever it is. Please apologize on my behalf.
Will do, sir. I will blame you 100%.
You should blame me 100%. It's completely my fault. Folks, we will be back next week on the Pteranodome, and I hope it annoys you as much as I enjoy saying it that way. We will be back with brand new stuff, and we will have a whole S-load of stuff to talk about when we get there, folks. So enjoy some Frosty the Dope Man on your way out tonight, and we will be back shortly. Thank you again, 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week on the old Pteranodome. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm ready to
Jason Tatum me already.
Frosty the Dope Man was a violent, angry soul with a crack rock pipe and a couple and 2 eyes like red hot coal. Frosty the Dope Man was a from round my way. He used to sling mad coke, but got hooked on dope on a cold ass Christmas day. He must have been an addict when he caught the whole £quarter, 'cause when he shot it in his veins, he began to dance around. Frosty the Dope Man tested positive for HIV. He contracted while using intravenous drugs, but he's just like you and me. Oh, Frosty the Dope Man knew the cops was out that day, so he said, run! Toss the gun before they take us both away. Oh, down in the jail cell.